This is Packcast 40.
Wow.
Take 1.
Only.
Take 1.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it in one take. We're one take boys.
One take wonders.
What can we say? We're one take boys over here.
One take Jake right here.
It's a good life, you know.
It's a great life.
What's it like being a one-take wonder? Liberating.
Yeah. You're just gonna have to try it to feel it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels pretty good, doesn't it?
You know, it's a Thursday, you know, we're sipping on our iced coffees and cokes. You know, it's a good day.
Good time.
Hey, what up, party people? Hey, we're back in person. That's right. We're still here. I'm Jeremy Van Suarez.
I'm Jacob Wade.
And I'm Logan Riley Bruner. Yes, the experiment continues. We're back in person.
Back in person for the Person Packcast.
Person Packcast.
In person Packcast.
It feels better.
The PP, if you will.
Oh my gosh,
I don't wanna
guys,
call it that.
it's episode 40.
Episode 40.
I can't believe Jacob's done 40 episodes.
I've done 40 episodes of this
You've done
Packcast.
42 because of the minis.
True. We have many Packcasts.
Yeah.
Check out our bonus episodes. They're up there, guys.
Great.
Catch up.
We had our
Come
music,
on.
Our music minicast. That was really fun.
That was fun.
We've done 40 official episodes, and 3 of them now have been in person. 37 Zoom episodes.
Wow.
And 3 in person.
Pandemic podcast,
Yeah.
Packcast in person.
Gosh.
Pandemic to in-person podcast, Packcast.
All right. Do we have anything to?
We have a lot.
We've got a
Oh,
lot.
girl, you better take it
We
away
do.
then.
Well, first things first, I'm the realist, because I released, or Jacob released, because he did most of the producing and editing on this one. We did an acoustic cover of Stay by Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber.
Well, I'll be fucked up.
Well, I'll be fucked up if you can't be right here. This was a long project. We've been working on this for
Months. 3 months.
at least 3.
Yeah, at least 3.
The song came out and we both really dug it, and we're like, do we want to maybe take a crack at this? And
I was like, it's 4 chords. Might as well.
yeah, and we went for it. We slowed it down a little bit, made it kind of our own.
It's very much our own.
Yeah.
The whole, like, motif of the song is missing.
Yeah.
Now I gotta ask, how did you shoot that video? Because it looks really good. What kind of camera are you using?
Oh, you know, we got an Ari Red. We got an Alexa Mini.
Hey,
No!
hey, don't give away our secrets. No, it's not a secret. It's no secret. We shot this on iPhone. The iPhone 13 Pro to be exact. We used Logan's new phone to shoot in that new iOS 13 cinematic mode.
It's
13?
15.
15. Oh my god, I'm behind. 15. iOS 15. And guys, I mean, we're iPhone 13 boys.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
Look at us.
I was the first one when the announcement about cinematic mode came out to be like, I don't know. I mean,
You
we'll
were.
have to
He
wait.
was the skeptic.
You
Skeptic.
were the first skeptic, and you were the first one to use it, and it
was.
turned out really great.
It's beautiful.
I was really surprised by the quality
the
of the
very
footage.
first time I used it, I had just gotten it and I went to church and I was like sitting up on the second floor and like I just zoomed in just slowly and just kept going and I was like, it's not blurring. There's no what? It's so beautiful. It's a great camera. I'm really, really impressed with Apple. I mean, judge for yourselves. I think the video's gorgeous.
I think the video's gorgeous too.
I think it's gorgeous.
I think it's a good edit.
Yeah.
We've got good shots.
We do.
We've got good sound.
We shot that in just locations that meant a lot to me. So, like, the park is where I used to go when I was a kid, and that theater has been both close to my church and close to my home. And then the High Line is the High Line.
Iconic for Chelsea.
Definitely. And then just, like, my backyard and my fire escape. My bedroom.
You say backyard. It's like a courtyard.
Yeah, courtyard.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
City kid things.
City
you
kid
know.
things. Iconic Chelsea video. We really wanted to
And yeah, we went to the
capture.
pier.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Stood up on a table by Chelsea Piers.
Nice.
Beautiful.
What else we got?
This coming week we have an interview with a new collective member. I'm not going to announce who it is yet. They are coming on Wednesday. They have already been announced as a collective member. But I'm not going to announce whose interview it is. I'm super excited. This person is an incredible friend of Jacob, Jeremy, and myself. We've gotten to perform on stage when we were younger with them. So very much looking forward to releasing this interview. It was an honor to get to interview them. So well spoken, so eloquent, and a really fast interview. It's like
bing, bang, boom.
At time of recording this podcast, I haven't finished editing it, but when it's done, I'm gonna guess it's under 10 minutes. That's my
wow.
I think it's gonna be under 10 minutes.
Cool.
Very, very came in, knew exactly what they were gonna say. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's coming on Wednesday. Very excited about that. Ephraim's interview was released 2 weeks ago. We re-promoted it last week, so go check that out while you're waiting. Yeah.
More interviews to come, more acoustic covers to come. Not too soon, but in the future. And Packcast's coming weekly, you already know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a lot.
Yeah. Ongoing projects, ongoing. You know?
Congratulations to whoever wins the Mexican Grand Prix on Sunday. We're excited.
Whoever it is will be excited.
Oh,
It's
wait!
true.
Wait! There's one more piece of housekeeping.
Oh.
I totally forgot. Because this is going to be released on Tuesday. And our lovely Jeremy Suarez is going to have had a birthday tomorrow.
That's right. Well, tomorrow for us right now.
For
Yeah,
us.
tomorrow for
So,
us.
a couple days ago
Listen.
for Packcast release. So, welcome to the 24 Club.
Yay! I'm old like you two.
Shut up. We're not even old.
We're not old. We're young and fresh and still budding.
Yep.
Yes. Yes. No longer in our early 20s.
Now in our mid-20s.
Now in our
Mid,
mid-20s.
yeah.
All of us are in our mids. We're in the early mid.
But we're not mid.
We're not mid
No.
yet.
No.
Not mid.
We're a steak, bitch. We're not some fucking fries.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh. Cool.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah.
Love having you as friends.
Feels good. So, guys, this past week we got to see a movie.
We did.
Together.
Similar to last. I'm really happy that we've been
going to the
seeing
movies.
and we get to talk about it on the podcast because I love like the discussion of it. You know,
Yeah.
I like watching like countless movies, especially when it's a movie I really like.
Yeah.
I always like watching just like movie reviews and like discussions from like various different sources, just because I love the discourse of it. So I'm happy
Seeing
to
if
get to do it.
everybody else saw the things that you saw.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hearing new opinions on it and being like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't think of it that way. I might not agree with you, but you know what? I respect your opinion.
That's your interpretation, and that's valid.
I fault you for it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, for your birthday, you guys are seeing Eternals, which unfortunately I will not be joining you guys for because I have work. But I'll have to catch up in time for our next week discussion of
Hopefully
that.
you'll be able to
Hopefully
see
you'll be
it.
able
Hopefully,
to.
hey.
Yeah.
But this past week we got to see the lovely Last Night in Soho, directed by Edgar Wright.
I've been excited about this for a while.
Me too. I love Edgar Wright as a director.
Yeah, I love Edgar Wright as a director. Thompson McKenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy, Matt Smith, all incredible performers. And they were really the ones that were hyped for the movie. There's a fourth lead. I want to make sure that...
What's his name?
I know, what's his name?
They
I want to
didn't
make sure
yeah.
that I say his name right.
Yeah, they didn't
Because
really
they
push
do
it.
not promote him, but he's all over the poster.
And he's also a fresh face, too. I feel like I've never
Yeah.
seen him in anything else before.
Same.
Michael Ajao.
Michael Ajao. Great performance, honestly.
Really good work. I wish his character had more screen time. Honestly, that was
True.
my one thought. We will get to spoilers at some point. Don't worry, we're not going to spoil quite yet. The first thing that I want to say is not necessarily about the movie, but is about the movie watching experience. I'm starting to realize, as we're going back to theaters, I'm having to relearn what good seats are. Because, like, whenever we get tickets to a movie, I'm like, okay, I want to sit, like, here, because distance and, like, right angle to the screen. But we saw Last Night in Soho, and I went back into that Dolby, and I went, shoot, I forgot that the back of the first floor has this ceiling on the top of it, so it cuts off the very top of the screen.
Oh,
It
was
didn't
not
cut
cut
off
off
the
for
top
me.
for me.
Just for a little bit. It's just that little bit on the top that I don't quite love. It's that, like, I wish that I had just, like, air above my head.
Right.
It
Yeah,
feels
but then
like
if
I
you go
have
on the
more-
top, then the banister of the second floor starts cutting off the bottom of the
See,
screen.
that's why I like that like very first row on the second floor of that particular theater.
You can put your feet up. And...
Yeah, just like
I mean, our feet are already up.
our feet
These
are
seats
already
are
up. We are in
reclining.
the
Yeah.
Dolby Theater.
Sure.
And then for the IMAX when we went to see it,
No,
my
no,
God,
those
we
those
were
definitely
too close.
we got messed up because everyone wanted to see Dune.
Yeah, well, my feeling on movie seats is that the best seat in the house in a movie theater is always center.
Dead center.
Because
H13.
Because that's where you're, that's where you're, fully immersed in all the speakers, and that center speaker, that secret speaker behind the screen is hitting you dead on.
Right.
So that's always my go-to spot. I'm always trying to be
secret speaker.
secret speaker.
The
Yeah,
hidden one.
there's a
What
speaker.
the fuck you mean the hidden one? You guys know about some hidden speaker?
There's speakers behind the screen.
Well, I figured.
The center speaker.
Probably, yeah. I guess that makes
But
sense.
it's a secret because you don't see it,
Sure.
and I don't think people think about it.
I didn't think about it. No.
It's like seeing is believing, and you see speakers here and speakers here, and you're like, okay, all the speakers are
That's where
here.
the sound's coming from.
Exactly, and that's why I say the center is the best seat, because then if you have a movie like Dune, where like people are like whispering, and sometimes Hans Zimmer's like "Bwam!" and you're like, what are they saying? You might be able to hear it a little bit better if you're center, not if you're down right like we were.
Or if you're watching a movie like Last Night in Soho, which has a lot of sound design in it.
Yes.
Beautiful sound design, and I actually want to say that the sound design is what felt most like an Edgar Wright movie in
Agreed.
this
Definitely.
I think,
experience.
I think coming off such a connected to sound film like Baby Driver, and coming into Last Night in Soho.
Even Scott Pilgrim, like.
I mean, but like most recent being Baby Driver
Yeah.
is like there's a feeling of that connection to sound and Edgar Wright's sort of addiction to that, and so my ears were like tuned in. Every
Totally.
lyric that was like repeating on an instrumental, anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
Dolby was really the place to see it. We have our debates over whether like IMAX or Dolby
Dolby
is
or
superior,
Yeah.
but I think Last Night in Soho is a great Dolby movie.
Yeah.
Not because it doesn't it's not shot great, because it's shot beautifully,
Yeah.
but because
yeah.
the soundscape that Edgar Wright creates is so immersive
Yeah.
that I'm just like I felt like I was like in the world of the movie, which is
Yeah.
interesting because the movie takes place in London. It's not like
yeah.
a crazy different world. It's our real world, you know?
Yeah, and I think there's also a feeling. I think when I first heard about the movie, like initially, I thought it was a New York story. It took like seeing the first like trailer or two to be like, oh wait, this is Soho in London. And so I thought that was really cool to be able to like transform to a different kind of Soho, but still kind of feel that connection to like, okay,
City
I
life.
know this city. I know like this vibe. I know where she's working.
Well,
I know-
you've actually been to London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I hadn't been like down in Soho and like,
You haven't been
experienced all of that.
Downtown.
Oh, speaking of that song, Anya Taylor-Joy's singing voice is just
It's beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Oh my goodness.
I thought that I would hear more of it.
Me too.
I want to get into spoilers.
We will.
I-
Well,
okay, all right.
we haven't.
Let me
we-
just
yeah,
say,
we haven't
overall,
even. Yeah.
Yeah, before
Let's
we
not
go
give a
into
verdict. Let's-
before we go into
Yeah.
spoilers, I loved the way that the music was immersed in the soundscape and the way that like echo and reverb was used and like the fusing of natural found sound like cars beeping or like
People talking.
it was like part of
the world.
the world. It felt good seeing it and watching it. Great performances across
All
the
around.
board.
Yeah.
Across the board. Just, I wish the characters were more fleshed out.
I think it suffers a little bit, and I don't think this is a spoiler. I think it suffers a little bit from passive protagonist syndrome.
Yeah.
Which happens a lot in movies that are like, we're gonna take someone modern and send them back in time. It's like a lot of what they're doing is observing. They're watching. They're like,
You become the character.
yeah,
kind
you're
of.
looking at a character, looking at a story.
So you don't learn much about the character as much as what they're seeing.
Right, and you know they have no effect on the story because
it
they're
already
just
happened.
watching it. It's already happened.
It's
So
not even happening to them, it's happening around them. So we know they're safe. We know they're... Well,
until they're not.
Do we
safe.
know if they're safe? in this
I
movie.
I felt that she was safe the whole time.
I started to feel like she was in danger at a certain point, and I'll talk about when that was when we get to spoilers. But I think for Edgar Wright's first foray into horror, I was very impressed. It's a totally
This was not horror.
I would call it a thriller.
Thriller.
I think this was a horror thriller. He's been marketing it as a horror.
I personally see this movie as like a mystery thriller because it's not horror. Like, not saying all horror movies are about the scares, but like I don't feel like this movie was like about the scares. I thought it dealt with scary situations. I thought the themes that it dealt with were kind of scary, but I didn't think that it was like a horror film. I wouldn't tell
kind of like Child's Play. Horror thriller. I see what he's saying.
I think whether you call it a horror movie or a thriller movie, it's Edgar Wright's kind of first foray
into that
seriously into that genre. Because we had like The World's End, which is kind of a thriller, but it's a comedy adventure rather than like a psychological.
The World's End?
The Bar Crawl movie.
Oh.
The end of
the Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying, yeah.
For his first foray into this, I thought he did quite well. I was quite impressed with it, and I'm interested to see what comes next. Were there things that I didn't like? Sure. But I think the things that I liked outweighed the things that I didn't like. It's a movie that I would see again.
Yeah. Same.
Numbers?
All right. We rating it? I'm giving it a 7.
7 out of 10.
Giving it a 7.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way as my compatriots here, you know. Really good movie. I think in the third act, the plot starts, you know, its ping rate reaches a good 300, and it starts lagging a little bit.
All right.
Yeah, I'd also give it a 7.
Yeah.
Before I get into verdict, I want to say, because we've mentioned every single other person that's worked on this film, Krysty Wilson-Cairns co-wrote with Edgar Wright. I wanted to give her props because I do think, even though I have some problems with the script, I think the script is very well written. It's super well constructed.
Do you have the cast list in front of you?
I just have the basic notes on it. Thomasin McKenzie, Anya Taylor-Joy, Matt Smith.
Can we shout out the our two
yes,
older
absolutely.
female actors? Because that's another thing I really appreciate about this movie, and this is also not a spoiler. I appreciated that Edgar Wright gave 2 older women, which I feel like we don't typically see in Hollywood movies, some really cool roles.
Yes,
or at least one of them, because our great aunt, grandma, whatever, she's not super in the story.
No, but she's
sweet.
important.
Yeah, no, she is important. Of course, I'm not saying she's not. Yeah, she was so sweet.
Oh, Granny.
So there were 3 older characters. There was the grandmother, the innkeeper, and then a woman who played the sage bartender.
Yes, her too.
She ended up also passing away. She's the second actress who was thanked in the movie. Edgar Wright thanked. The movie is dedicated to Diana.
And the old guy, the bar guy.
Yes, he's older too. He ends up being very important.
Yeah.
Diana Rigg, who plays the housekeeper that Thomasin McKenzie meets early on in the film. I believe she's in the trailer for it. The movie was dedicated to Diana because she passed away last year. It was her final performance. It was also the final performance of Margaret Nolan, who was the sage bartender. And then the third person that you guys wanted to shout out because she had a good part and she was an older actress is... I'm trying to find... Because I have Eloise's mother. I have Eloise. Where is Eloise's grandmother?
Is that her? She looks way too young.
Rita Tishingham?
Rita Tishingham? Peggy? Who's Peggy?
I think so.
Peggy! She was in A Taste of Honey. We read that, didn't we?
We did?
Yeah.
You read it.
I read it. Taste of Honey. When did I read that? Whose class did I read that for? Someone? Write it in the comments below. If we had to read A Taste of Honey, what was that for? Was that for Parenti's class?
Rita Tushingham plays Eloise's grandmother, and does a phenomenal job. She's not in very much of it, but I wish she had been in more.
Yeah.
Final verdict for me, also going to be a 7 out of 10. I'm harsh on Edgar Wright because I really love his movies, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is my favorite movie potentially of all time, and Baby Driver and Hot Fuzz, and I think it's a very high bar that you have set, Mr. Wright. Your movies are always great, so yeah, that's where I'm at. Shall we move into the spoiler zone?
That's right.
Hold my
Spoiler
earring.
zone, baby. Okay.
just
Okay, here we are. Spoilers.
We're entering the spoiler room brawl.
3,
2,
1.
boom.
Okay.
So the third act has issues.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, I think. And then
she goes to the police. And we get a scene where our main character, like, recaps the movie thus far, but she doesn't, like, there's no new information in it.
No, it's just, like, everything that's happened.
And it's like, I was watching it, and I'm like, yeah, I know. I just saw that about 30 minutes ago.
What's new?
A lot of what I think happened in the third act was they were trying to re-emphasize points that they were making in the 1960s. The feeling of, like, women aren't taken seriously, women aren't respected, women are very much pushed to the side. But because we had already gotten those lessons, we had already understood those principles as a part of our world, to then re-bring it up with, like, she's gonna go to the police and they're not gonna believe her, felt like a stalling to be like, oh yeah, you want her to go to the cops? Well,
because she also knows the cops aren't gonna believe her, because
she's literally like, you're gonna think I'm crazy.
Yeah, she's like she's
a smart girl.
Yeah, she's a smart girl, and she knows that police aren't gonna believe her if she says, hey, I've been watching this girl from the 60s get pimped out, and
I think she got murdered.
I think she got murdered in my room, but I can't give you any concrete evidence, but I've seen it. I promise.
I also think that it had a problem of trying to rush some of the relationships. Michael Ajao, I think, does an amazing job as a performer, but I don't think he was given nearly enough screen time to solidify that relationship. So by the time he was, like, her ally and on her side, it was like, he's just a guy who's, like, now with her, I guess, and they're into each other, and okay. I didn't get any indication of that earlier. I knew he was into her, but not that she really felt anything for him, and now she's...
Well, I think the drugs really helped out.
Yes.
She gets spiked at a party, and then that's when their relationship kind of kicks off.
Does she? Or were the police just saying that, and we were supposed to maybe question if she was crazy or not?
I remember when Jocasta gives her the drink. Yeah. I was like, maybe it's drugged. And then a certain song starts playing, and I'm familiar with the song because The Weeknd samples it, and everyone knows how The Weeknd is with drugs. So I was like,
okay. She's on drugs.
She's on drugs right now, and the visuals get trippy and kind of kaleidoscopy.
Really cool. My issue is, she goes to the police about this murder, right? Mm-hmm. And the moment that they say, maybe you were drugged by someone, she has a moment where she realizes, I was
drugged by my bitch of an ex-roommate.
She doesn't go, hey, you know what? That's actually possible. My ex-roommate who I had problems with gave me a drink at this party that I didn't see her pour. That could have happened. But instead she goes, no chance I was drugged. I definitely saw this thing. It's totally true.
Even though they show a flashback that I interpreted as she remembers the drink, she thinks about it possibly being drugged.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It was just it felt like there were a lot of the stuff in the 1960s was very carefully crafted, and the filming was carefully crafted. The way the shots were set up with mirrors.
Oh
with
my gosh!
Lighting,
yes.
It's beautiful. And then you got back to modern time, and it was like we were running for the next 1960s section.
Yeah, it's like, well, but at the same time, that's kind of what we're supposed to be going through, because she can't wait until she can fall asleep again.
Right.
Mm-hmm. She's like, I want to go back to that magical place until it gets bad.
Scary.
And I wish we had gotten to see more of what she does while she's awake.
Right. I wish we had gotten to know her.
I wish we had gotten to know a lot of our characters more.
I think she felt like the embodiment of woman. Like, the embodiment of, like, she is a woman.
Yeah.
And the story was, like, women empowerment.
Yeah, it's like, we hate men. Men are bad.
I don't think it's we hate... Dead battery.
What the fuck? It was on 3 bars.
We're just gonna come back and Jacob's gonna be crying.
I'm sorry, I was very aggressive with you right there. I don't think it's necessarily we hate men. I think it's the idea that men take advantage of women, that women get lured into these lives of kind of sex trafficking and a lot of these things that I think we as a society have been almost conditioned to see as, like, their fault. I think a lot of, like, slut shaming, pornography shaming, stuff like that was kind of explored in this movie.
Yeah.
I think the major issue was that Eloise didn't really feel like she had any stake other than saving Sandy, who's Anya Taylor-Joy's character. It felt like she wasn't trying to save Sandy because she cared about Sandy. She was trying to save Sandy because Sandy was a woman who needed saving.
Yeah. But saving from just men being gross.
That's life, bro.
I know.
And I mean,
that's why I say that, like, the whole movie, I was like, ugh, men are gross.
I mean,
I felt the same way too.
Yes, but we also get, and it's why I wish he had had a little more screen time in Michael Adjal's character, this feeling of, like, okay, we're not saying every man is bad. We are saying that this behavior is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You sound like you want to say something, Jacob. We're in spoilers. Come on.
Okay, I just, like, even John, I was like, does she need him?
No.
It seems like she is coming here to focus on school and not really even make friends. Like, she rents the room to be to herself in the first place. She's not interested in John until she can use him to, like, feel safe.
Distract herself.
Yeah, like...
But I don't think that means that men are bad. I think that just means that she's not interested.
That's not...
Yeah, you know what? I'm reflecting on this movie, and I'm realizing that a lot of our modern-day characters are pretty two-dimensional.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what do we know about our protagonist?
She's
into fashion. Her mom's dead.
She's into the 60s. She's into nostalgia.
She's connected to ghosts.
Somehow.
First with her mom.
Yeah, it's a gift that her grandma kind of
Which I kind of appreciated that it wasn't like let's explore the origin of the gift. It was like she has this thing. She's lived with it.
But why doesn't she see her mom in Soho at all?
Yeah, that was a little confusing.
Until the very end, it's like you have your good ghost, and then oh no, you move away and you have your bad ghosts, and now your good ghost is back.
It seemed like to me, it felt like she wanted to go to London not just for school, but to get away from the memories, because I think that's what it was.
Okay.
It was the memories of her mom in the house, and being in that house is like, my mom is all over this place. Whereas in fashion school, it's like, my mom hasn't been here, so I'm not gonna connect the two.
But my issue with that is, one, she was never disappointed to see her mom. It was never like, oh fuck, I'm seeing my mom, it's breaking my heart. The first time she sees her mom, she's like, I'm about to get good news, aren't I?
Yeah.
Like, they're all excited together. And then she says to her grandmother, I'm going to school for my mom.
Yeah.
I'm going to school because I owe it to her to do this. So there almost felt like there should be, like, maybe my mom sat at this bar. Maybe my mom, like, more of her exploration should have been centered around, like, let me connect with this memory that I have. Yeah. And then getting pulled into this story rather than, like, oh, her roommate throws her out because she's having sex with somebody, and so she like goes out and explores the town.
Everyone's throwing a party. She doesn't want to be part of the party. She'd rather listen to her 60s music on her headphones and
her record player.
Yeah, right? Like,
it felt very like nerdy girl goes to college and can't fit in.
Yeah,
which
is
I
that's
understand.
what they were going for.
Yeah,
so.
But again, it's like you said, it ends up coming across as slightly two-dimensional.
Can we also...
especially coming off like movies where there have been a lot of more three-dimensional protagonists, like Baby Driver, like Hot Fuzz, like
totally.
Yeah.
Even Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how the plot twist that I saw coming?
I did not.
The plot twist.
I thought about it, and then and then the movie kept going, so I kind of forgot about it. And then, right when it was about to happen, did you?
I said it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the movie kind of tells you before it happens because there's a letter with a name on it.
Yeah.
Right? I know we're in spoiler territory, but I don't feel like diving too much into it.
Yeah.
There's a letter with a name on it, and if you're watching the movie and you're paying attention, you're like, oh shit.
That's the
that
name.
person.
That's the person.
And then Jacob leans over to me, and then he kind of confirms it, and then it happens on screen. So it's like,
and
yes.
as soon as it's revealed, I was just like, I know it's got to happen. She's got to die. Let's get it over with. And
yeah,
it takes
me and Jacob.
So long.
Me and Jacob were watching the movie and literally going like. Because it's like it's the villain like explaining her motive,
and we're like, yeah, we
like,
put two and two together.
But it's shot like a true horror movie, like a scary, intense chase up the stairs, run for the phone.
Oh, I loved that the cinematic of the two different locations, like one
the endless staircase.
Yeah.
I think me and Jacob are specifically talking about like the conversation.
Yeah.
Of her being like, well, this is why I did it, and I don't feel guilty about it. You know, this and this. I've been
now leave me to die. No, I want to save you now, not kill you, but I kind of want to kill you.
Yeah, I think the first conversation I was cool with the length of. I think the second conversation inside the room that's now on fire, I was like, why are we having
just die?
She just tried to stab you a couple times. She stabbed someone you know, and you still. I get it. You feel
you just found out she's a fucking serial killer.
Well, I think it's interesting because I think our villain is more fleshed out. Is the most fleshed out character here.
The most three-dimensional character.
Which makes
sense.
The
movie's not about Ellie. It's about Sandy.
It is about Sandy, and I think that's why it feels like Eloise is just on for the ride because this movie is actually about Sandy is our actual protagonist.
For me, it felt like a love letter to Soho that they wanted to do a 20 years later we find the killer thing, but didn't quite know how to do the modern part, so they really focused on the 60s, and the 60s story is really fleshed out and really, really solid. I loved everything we got in the 60s. Everything with Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah,
the character of Lindsay who ends up coming in
and
later.
Also,
that twist
I
was
really
great.
like the cinematography in the 60s because it really reinforces that this is a dream.
Yeah.
And it's it's that feeling of you turn down a hallway and then all of a sudden you're in a completely different space.
I think my other problem was every time that our protagonist tried to be active, she was almost punished for it. That, in the trailers, there's a shot where she dives through the mirror and grabs Sandy.
Yeah.
And that moment is coming in the movie. She's behind it. I've seen the shot.
She's gonna break through the
glass.
glass.
She's punching the glass. She dives through, and we're back in modern time. And I was like,
no.
So this moment that I thought was going to be the first moment of the two of them connecting with each other, this moment of she's breaking through the dream.
You don't get it.
You don't. You get her waking up and we're forced back to reality and she's punished for intervening by being taken away.
And it's even a false wake up. It's you're still sleeping.
Yeah. Well,
it's a horror movie jump scare.
I didn't dislike that aspect of it as much because I feel like dreams are like that. That it's right when you're about to get to what feels like the most important part of the dream, you wake up.
Yeah.
Or I like lucid dreams sometimes, and when I realize I'm dreaming and I try to do something that isn't part of the script, that's when I wake up.
Right.
So I see that and I'm like, that makes sense.
The movie did something which I don't like, which is showing me a lie and telling me it's the truth.
That too. I didn't
showing me
I
Sandy
didn't like
gets
that.
stabbed, repeatedly stabbed. I'm watching her get stabbed. No other vision has been a lie. No other vision has been something that didn't happen that we think is happening.
Yeah.
Everything's been the truth. You show me Sandy dying, and then 20 minutes later you tell me, no, she didn't die. She actually stabbed the other guy, and then she murdered a bunch of other people and hid all their bodies in the room. And it's like, okay, that's... okay, I understand that, but I feel like you could have had that same, like... I'm the daughter of Sandy and the pimp, and she died, and he lived and raised me, and I have to defend my father's memory, would have been more of a, like, oh, I get why she's trying to kill Eloise now. But there was a sense of, like, I'm gonna murder you because I want to murder you.
Yeah, but, and to that point, why was Eloise ever in danger? Like, she's not the target, really.
She's not the target, but she's about to expose her secret, and she's like...
But she's really not.
She tells the police.
She goes to the cops and says, a woman got murdered. I'm trying to protect a woman who got murdered.
And that simply didn't happen.
The cops come around and go, we heard a woman got murdered. And then they go away, because they don't care about it. And Eloise literally says, like, I won't tell anybody.
Yeah, but why would you believe... That's also in, like, every horror movie or, like, thriller where it's like, I promise I'm not going to tell anybody. And it's like...
you're not going to tell anybody. Yeah.
It's like, are you really going to do that? Like, that's such a trope at this point, you know?
Can we talk about Jack for a second?
Mm-hmm.
That's Matt Smith's character, right?
Yes.
Right, yeah. I wish that Jack had more of a character, too.
I think Jack has a
Yeah.
solid character.
I was fine with Jack.
He's the...
What were you missing from Jack?
I was like, this is Matt Smith playing Jack the Pimp. And it's good. It's just the same in every scene. I don't know. I got the charming aspect, but then I was like, yeah, it's not charming anymore. No. I just wish I had seen...
He knew how to turn it on. I think he knew...
That's the point of the movie, though.
Right, is that it's
a dream and then it's a nightmare.
He's a really nice guy who seems like her perfect ally, her white knight, and once he has her in the palm of his hand, he's
a fucking...
uses and manipulates.
Scum. He's scum.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 out of 10. I mean, it was entertaining throughout.
I think it just...
Good performances, good work.
It had its problems,
yeah.
and I think it's solid, but... There are things that I...
It's solid, but it's got some gaping holes.
Yeah, I think, and I said this when we came out of the theater, I think Edgar Wright gets a bit too self-indulgent in, like, his world, with, like, conversations that can drag on, and, like, plot points that don't, like, that could make sense, but, like, isn't really, like, logical at the most point.
I've noticed that in, like, the Cornetto trilogy much more than I ever saw it in, like, Scott Pilgrim or Baby Driver. Both of those, I feel like, as films, are very, like, go, beat, move.
We're not going to spend too much time here.
No. And I think both of them...
They're like love stories, too.
Scott Pilgrim with transitions and Baby Driver with music do a very good job of using elements to just push us forward. This, a lot of the sound design and the lights was designed to pull us in and, like, move us into a sense of, like, we're drawing you more into the world rather than go. Yeah. And I think that results in a feeling of, okay, we're waiting to drive. When are you going to hit the gas? And by the time they decided to hit the gas,
we were like,
it was a little too late.
Yeah, it was like not only that, but it's like, I felt like at that point I was like, I didn't care because, like, this now by the time it hits the gas, I'm like, this movie can only end one way. I'm not like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next?
She's gonna die.
Yeah, I'm like, this movie is gonna end like this way, and this way. Another problem that I kind of had was like, just like how ghosts function in this world.
Yeah.
And, like, just, we're talking a lot of, like, negatives here, but it's like Logan said, it's because we love Edgar Wright so
it was
much.
Perfect except for...
and it's, like, these little things that we're, like, really expanding upon. But I swear it's a good movie, guys.
It's that feeling of being so in anticipation for a movie and then seeing it and being like...
That was different.
Didn't hit the bar that I wanted it to hit. It didn't do what I wanted. And I think whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing is up to audiences, but I think that... For me, it didn't do what I wanted. It didn't hit the notes that I wanted it to hit.
What were you
so
gonna
I
say
think
about
that
ghosts?
was different.
Just
go
how
ahead.
the ghosts like kind of operate in this movie. So we get I have like kind of two examples of when ghosts are like used really greatly, and then when ghosts aren't used as great.
Okay.
The great example is when Eloise and Eloise and John are hooking up at her place, and she sees the visage of Sandy getting killed.
That was the scariest scene
That was
in the whole
right.
movie.
Yeah.
So Sandy's getting killed, and Eloise is screaming. Now it's been
No,
said.
get off her! Get off
It's
her!
been said prior that like one of the rules this movie establishes is that there are no men allowed in the apartment after 8 p.m. Eloise brings in this man after 8 p.m. They start hooking up.
You have to put an element before they start hooking up. The man is black. She is a white woman. They start hooking up.
She starts seeing visions of Sandy getting killed, and she's like, Stop, please get off. And I'm watching this movie in total fear because I'm like, oh my gosh, this old white woman's gonna come up the stairs and be with a gun and be like, here's this black person and this, like, I was like,
the girl screaming bloody murder.
The racial logistics of this is like terrifying.
Yeah.
But it's also like, he is there in the room while she is seeing this vision, this thing happen before her, and we can kind of understand like where she is in the room and what is kind of going on.
That there's nothing happening on the bed, but she's seeing something happen on the bed.
And it's affecting her.
Right.
Then, towards kind of the big crux of the movie, there's a big action point in this movie. She's running up the stairs to lock herself in a room. No, she's going to make a call on the phone
because the phone only calls 911.
Yes,
or 999.
It only makes emergency calls.
So she goes into the room, and then ghost hands start coming up from the bed and grabbing her, and she can't move. And then a ghost picks up the phone and is like, "Help!" And I'm like, okay, this looks really cool. It makes sense, and this is also kind of the point where we find out that Sandy's been murdering these people, not someone killed Sandy.
And you're like, wait, the ghosts are friendly, but they look so scary.
The ghosts are friendly, but they look scary, and they're also creepy men who are taking advantage.
They're creepy men who are taking advantage of women and grabbing her and holding her down. Then asking her for help and seeming
by
like
picking
they're
up the
her
phone
ally.
and saying help, and then they say kill her. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, this looks great. My suspension of disbelief, I'll work with it. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, what's actually happening in the scene? What's actually stopping her from calling? What's actually stopping her from moving? Like, and that's like,
ghosts have never been able to touch her before. When she's awake, why can they touch her now?
And that kind of frustrated me.
Had it been more of a sense of, rather than her getting grabbed and like pulled onto the bed and held down, had it been like they were pulling her arms and she was like stumbling around the room almost in a sense of being drugged, like she was trying to get to the bed and we're seeing ghosts grab her, but realistically what's happening is her body's just not working anymore. Great! That tells me what's happening. But to have it be this like, and now the ghosts are real. They are tangible. Yeah. They can touch and speak and communicate.
In the daytime.
In the daytime, when she's watching something they have never done before. For our climax.
Yeah.
It was a weird... And then Sandy sees all the ghosts. That, like, they've become real.
Yeah.
It's like, well, is she seeing an empty room? Is she seeing the ghosts? Is she remembering?
Yeah. You know, like I said, we've been nitpicking a lot of this movie. I will say something that I really, really liked. Once we get the reveal is like, okay, I'm supposed to resonate with this character and feel empathy for this character because she has been taken advantage of.
And I did.
At the same time, she is also a serial killer.
Which is wrong.
Right? And then you have kind of the same thing with the men, where it's like, well, these men are all scumbag because they've all been taking advantage of not just Sandy, but numerous girls across the 60s. But then it's like, do they deserve to die? Yes. No. It's.
Even if you can make the excuse about these men that, like, oh, they just went to a pimp and hired a prostitute. They didn't know. They make it very clear
that they're gross.
That not even just like that they're gross, but like, as a man, it's quite obvious when someone's not into you. Like, if you sat down,
I don't know. Men are pretty oblivious sometimes.
Listen, agreed. But if you sat down with someone and their first reaction to you was like rolling their eyes and looking away from you, and your thought was, I want to have sex with them, no. So yeah, the men were gross.
It also doesn't really matter to them because they like paid, so it's just like
I don't know.
It's a service. All right.
We could go into sex work is legitimate work. We could go into that conversation.
Yeah, and that's been our talk about Last Night.
to finish our talk about Last Night in Soho, the acting's amazing. The directing is beautiful. The cinematography is gorgeous. The lighting is phenomenal. I think the lighting's phenomenal.
It was good until they broke the rules.
It doesn't have anything to do with the lighting, I think.
I didn't mind the lighting breaking the rules at points. I know it bothered you.
It bothered me.
It didn't bug me. I thought it was cool.
Red, white, blue.
I thought it was cool when the white went away. It was like she was being taken even more out of reality and going even more into that darkness. Yeah, and I thought the sound was fantastic. If you go see it, if you've watched this far into the spoilers and you still haven't seen it for some reason, pay extra special attention every time lyrics come up. Because a lot of times repeating motifs will appear in the lyrics that are repeated on record players. Shall we move from movies that we saw to movies that are coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Go for it, baby.
Okay. Quickly, from Packcast 38, which was 2 Packcasts ago, Passing, the Tessa Thompson, I believe, is the lead in Passing. Am I correct?
Yep. Tessa Thompson and Ruth Nega.
Thank you. Arrives on Netflix tomorrow, November 10th, so go see that. It was in theaters, now it's on Netflix. They're doing their little 2-week thing. They did it with Harder They Fall. I think it's because that's the only way that you can get nominated for serious awards, and they're trying to give some of those movies the opportunity to do that. I'm sure Harder They Fall for stunts, or I haven't seen the movie yet. I don't know what the acting's like. There might be some incredible performances in that.
We're going to have to find out.
Cowboy movies never get nominated, so maybe this year that'll be different. In addition...
Brokeback Mountain got nominated.
Sorry, which one?
Brokeback Mountain.
Brokeback Mountain did get nominated. I feel like that's less a cowboy movie and more a queer movie.
They're cowboy. Cowboys can't be queer.
Very true. Next up, we've got a movie that's beloved to all our childhoods. We all watched it when we were kids. Clifford the Big Red Dog. Directed,
Bark.
Bark Bark. Directed by Walt Becker and written by Jay Sherrick, David Ron, and Blaze Hemingway, with story by Justin Mallon and Ellen Rappaport, who is a female writer, and characters by Norman Bridewell. It's cute. It looks adorable. Jack Whitehall is in it. It's gonna be a fun family movie. A fun family movie. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. If you go see that, I hope you enjoy it. It's not necessarily on the top of my list.
I can't say I'm rushing to see Clifford.
But something I am rushing to see is Kenneth Branagh's latest film, Belfast. It appears to be another one of those stories that's modern and taking place in the past. It looks really beautiful. Kenneth Branagh is an incredible director. I always love his work, so I'm very, very excited for this one. Also, coming this week, we have Love is Love is Love, directed by Eleanor Coppola, who wrote with Karen Lee Hopkins, female writer-directors. It's 3 stories. I don't think that they necessarily... What's happening? What?
Nothing. You're reading, aren't you? Keep going.
Well, I got you two laughing over here.
I'm not laughing.
Funny.
I am not laughing. I am not laughing.
Anyway.
This is still going. We're a mess right now.
Yeah, we are. Love is Love is Love is 3 different stories. I don't think that they necessarily connect. I think they're just about love, commitment, loyalty, relationships. Looks like good acting, looks like good storytelling, so that looks cool. A movie that I'm really excited about, Night Raiders, directed and written by Danis Goulet, who is an Indigenous American female writer-director. This looks like a metaphor for what happened to a lot of Indigenous Americans when Europeans came over, kind of the indoctrination of their children into this kind of westernized ideal of one language, one culture. It looks kind of like The Fifth Wave, that Chloe Grace Moretz movie, kind of like instead of sister saves brother, mother saves daughter, or son, I believe, actually, not daughter. It looks cool. It looks like a good movie. I think it's really exciting.
Really quick, I noticed you passed over Apex.
Yes.
No, yeah, it's not.
It's not in ones to discuss.
I know. I just want to talk about it real quick.
You want to talk about Apex?
I just want to say...
Go ahead.
I feel like this was supposed to be an Apex Legends movie.
No.
Do you not think the symbol looks like the Apex symbol that they show in the trailer? It literally looks like the triangle.
Maybe?
I felt like they were like, someone wanted to adapt Apex Legends, and then they were like, we're not going to let you do that. And they're like, well, we're going to call it Apex.
Yeah, but none of the characters are, like, close to the characters in the game.
No, it was just a weird thing. Anyways, I just wanted to put that out there.
They both had the word Apex in them.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Clear connection. The symbols are clear. Yeah, Apex is a new Bruce Willis movie. Jeremy, you might end up cutting this section.
I might.
Yeah.
I might. Yeah.
Next, we have Multiverse, directed by Gaurav Seth, written by Doug Taylor, with story assistance by Michael McKenzie. Gaurav Seth is an Indian director. This is about university students who try and cross over to another universe in the multiverse and the consequences of those actions.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I'm into that type of thing.
In addition, coming this week for Netflix, we have Tick Tick Boom, the Jonathan Larson musical being adapted into a movie by Lin-Manuel Miranda, written by Stephen Levinston. I'm very excited about this one.
Why are you laughing?
Because he's like, next up. And then his hands did like a fart.
Yeah, I was going to just keep going. I mean, you know,
Next up.
Jacob's still in middle school. It's fine.
Damn. Got him.
I played Jacob a little bit of music from the original Tick Tick Boom today. I hope he liked it. I think it's a really cool musical, so I'm excited to see this one. I think Andrew Garfield is going to be great, and I think the story of how he got cast is really funny. So if you haven't heard that, go check it out. There's a whole YouTube video about it.
I'm sorry, guys. We're silly today.
Yeah, it's
We're
fine.
silly
I'm just
today.
going to blow through the rest of these so we can get out of here. Next up, we have The Accursed, which is a horror movie directed and written by Catherine Michelle and Elizabeta Vidovic, who are female writer-directors. A horror movie about a family who is cursed, and the curse comes back after 20 years. We also have Soulmates, which is directed by Timothy Armstrong and written by Alexandra Case and Stephanie Lynn, who both star in it. It's about two best friends who live in a small town when a guy gets in between their friendship and kind of how they navigate that world. We have Stratton Castle, Tale of Jesse Goldenheart, directed by Zelly December Slack and Peggy Roger.
Cool name.
Written by Peggy Roger.
Denver Slack.
You said December.
You said December. It's Denver.
Directed by Zelly Denver Slack and Peggy Roger. Written by Peggy Roger. Zelly Denver Slack is a black director, and Peggy Roger, and a woman, and Peggy Roger is also a woman. Full women team writing about a servant girl in, I believe, Scotland, who falls in love with the Lord of the Manor, and the intrigue that follows. In terms of documentaries, we have Julia, which is directed by Julie Cohen and Betsy West, who are the directors of RBG. Julia is about Julia Child, that absolute legend of the kitchen. I'm very excited for this one. I think it looks super cute. We also, in terms of documentary, have Mayor Pete, which is, of course, about Pete Buttigieg, directed by Jesse Moss. Whether or not you agree with his policy or not, I personally think Pete Buttigieg is an inspiration. I'm very excited to see this film come out. I think it's going to be great. Finally, we have Double Walker, which is directed by Colin West, who wrote alongside Sylvie Mix, who stars. This is about a girl who's given the choice to have one more day on Earth or become a ghost and haunt those that are sinners and believers.
One day more.
She chooses the latter.
She chooses the latter. It looks scary. It looks intense. It looks similar to Last Night in Soho, that, like, men are trash.
Yeah.
So, looking forward to that. That looks super interesting.
Cool.
Those are the movies coming out this week. There are a couple more. You can find the info about them below, but not on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. So don't look there. Anything else that we want to hit on before we get into the content that we've been consuming?
No.
Cool. What content have we been consuming?
I am still watching The Wire. I think I'm going to give up, though, because they just killed my favorite character.
Uh-oh.
I'm on the last season, and I haven't agreed with the plot at all in the last, like, season and a half. I think that, like, one of the main writers on the show, like, died. Like during season 4, and so like this last season is just not hitting the same.
Gotcha.
And it's not. It's really not. So I think I'm gonna stop that. But I'm still. Oh, and I finished Ted Lasso finally. Yes. I am all caught up.
Talked about this a lot.
We have.
Maybe we'll do a little mini Jacob and I Packcast about Ted Lasso, because that season has a lot to discuss.
Yeah, true. I am still watching You. I've watched the first 5 episodes now. And I am still watching Succession.
Great.
Nice.
You already know. Succession season 3 is going off.
Going off.
It is going
It's
off.
intense. It's an intense season this year. It's
Great
always
show.
Intense, but,
Great show.
Yeah.
Great show. And that's all from me.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of me, video games are still video gaming. Catherine Full Body, Apex Legends, NBA 2K22. I say Catherine Full Body. Ghost of Tsushima. Started Knockout City. Hoping to try the remaster of Kingdoms of Amalur, because I heard that was a really great game.
Cool.
Still watching You. Still watching Succession. Watching The Great British Bake Off, which is great. Very, very smiley show.
Now, is it the Great British Bake Off or Baking Show?
It's both.
It's both. Those are different shows?
No, they're the same name. They're the same
The
show.
same show
but I think in
with
Britain,
2 names?
In Britain, they call it The Great British Bake Off, and here they call it The Great British Baking Show.
Okay.
Because whenever I
It's
see it...
marketed differently?
Yeah, whenever I see it, like, the posters of it, it says The Great British Bake Off, but if you go on Netflix, it says The Great British Baking Show.
That's so weird. Isn't it?
I think it's because it was just, like...
BBC versus Netflix or
like
whatever?
PBS when it was being...
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, like lost in translation type of thing. It's the same language.
Interesting. Yeah, that's Succession. We're keeping it consistent. Not much new has come. I mean, Love Life Season 2 did start, and I haven't gotten to start that. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
With Ari and Moyad.
Yeah. Shout him out.
Shout out to Ari.
Every episode.
Absolute legend.
Shout out.
Jeremy?
My turn? All right, cool. I have been listening to this new Coldplay album, Music of the Spheres.
It's really good.
Really
is
good,
really good.
really cool.
All of us are listening to it. Huh?
Yeah. I also listened to this album called Mango by Black Party. Kind of R&B and soul, hip hop fusion.
Wow, 2016.
Wait, oh really? That's from 2016? Wow, it feels like really modern. So yeah, go check that out. Listen to the new Big Sean and Hit Boy EP, What You Expect. That was pretty solid. Just bars all over the place.
Yeah, I love Big Sean.
I started Atlanta season 2. I forgot that it was only half-hour episodes, and that's kind of like, that's my sweet spot for TV shows, so I'm definitely going to keep watching that. Still watching Star Wars Visions.
Yeah, we did watch that this week.
We watched Star Wars Visions as well. I am almost done with Neo, The World Ends With You. I am on the final day. I think the game wants me to think I'm fighting the final boss, but I think there's something after this.
There always is.
Yeah, especially because it's a sequel to like another game, and they're like kind of following the same like pacing. So I'm like, this is a console game. Maybe they're gonna do like one extra thing.
Sure.
I don't know. I'll find out. Started Knockout City. Pretty fun. Competitive dodgeball. Whatever. Yeah. That's it.
I have one last thing that I forgot because I've been listening to it very recently. I just finished. There's a new season that got put out on all your podcast apps. So for my podcast listeners, this is an intense one. I'm gonna actually do this for the podcast because I've never done this for the podcast. Trigger warning for sexual assault. So if you want to skip ahead, I'll put a timestamp in the description below. There is a new series from Assume Nothing. It's called The Rape Trial. It is about a very serious trial that happened in Northern Ireland that ended up changing their entire justice system in terms of how they deal with rape and sexual assault. It is breaking my heart and making me furious all at the same time. It's beautifully done. The narration is really fantastic. The way they tell the story is powerful. So definitely check that out. I think it's really worth supporting. It's a BBC podcast, so they're being supported by advertising. It's not even like a podcast that's getting sponsors or anything like that. It's a lot of just like they get their advertising outside of the UK because they're completely free for UK citizens. So if you're outside the UK and have the opportunity to, or if you're in the UK, support that podcast. I think it's really important. We're back. We are back after that, so you're clear if you jumped ahead.
And
that's content we've been consuming.
That's all the content we've been consuming. Thank you so much for watching the podcast. We always really appreciate it. Do you have any special shout-outs today?
I do! I have two! One that we're going to have to discuss just briefly. Michael Quintana, you commented on our last podcast, and you wanted to say that they didn't call it Dune Part 1 because they didn't want another Denis Villeneuve.
Oh, girl.
Villeneuve. Denis Villeneuve.
Thank you. They didn't want any Denis Villeneuve backlash, and for another Denis Villeneuve project to fall apart. I do not agree with this. I think they always knew they were going to do Dune Part 2, and I think that not advertising it as such is unfair. I will still stick by that point. Thoughts on that?
They didn't want that backlash that they were going to come out with a Part 1?
No, that if Part 1 had, like, failed miserably, that it wouldn't have been like we already had a Part 2 that we're now scrapping. It would have just been like, okay, move on.
I mean, it still would have been kind of disappointing even if Dune did fail and then the movie starts and you have Dune Part 1 and then we never get Part 2.
Yeah.
So they should have gone one or the other, I
Right.
think. But also, I also think not only... I've read interviews and, you know, from months ago, Denis was like, Warner Brothers is really happy with Dune, and we can't really imagine a scenario where this movie fails.
Right.
Nice.
And it hasn't failed.
Dope.
And then the second person that I want to shout out commented on this video last week, and she said that we all had really nice fits, and I appreciate that, so I want to say thank you, Elka Wade.
Oh, Elka!
Elka!
Thanks,
Thank you
yo.
so much. Not to be confused with Jacob Wade, as they are siblings. Thank you, Elka. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate you guys. If you want to get shouted out on the Packcast, give us a comment down below. We'd love to talk to you, and we'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
Until then, I'm Jeremy Van Suarez.
I'm Jacob Wade.
I'm Logan Riley Bruner.
And we'll catch you downtown.
Things will be great when you're
Downtown.
no time or place to be downtown. Everyone's waiting for you.